my wife's a garage sale collector. She's at every rummage sale you'll ever see. She buys the clothes and never stops to check them. She just bags them up and brings them home to me.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Clay from Clay's Collections, and we are back with a garage sale haul, or they called it a moving sale. I happened to be leaving my house and saw a sign a couple blocks away that said moving sale on, November 18th. It's like, what's that? I'll do that. So I stopped, and it was, walked in, and obviously they had a number of items that would have been okay, but I'm limiting the amount of items that I pick up right now, just due to my transition to full-time work and trying to get life balance, if you will. But I found some fabulous items. And I'm so glad, because when I walked in, you walked into this, it's a townhome, and you walked in on the main level, and, there was a lot of artwork, there was a lot of dishes and different stuff like that. But then they also said, make sure you check out the garage. I was like, okay. So I'm in the, going through the living room and stuff, and then I go into the kitchen, and on the one table, I spotted this. So it's a little glimpse into some of the items that we have. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. I am a part-time now. I used to be full-time. Now I'm back to part-time dealer in vintage and antique items. So I pick them up at garage sales, thrift stores, Goodwill outlet, bins, which I haven't been to for a while. But we'll get back there again. Like I say, I'm still adjusting, trying to figure out how to balance all of life with what I do. So yeah, so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, pop in on those comments too. Let me know what you're thinking. And I'll let you know what I'm thinking. But, so yeah, so one of the things, like I say, was this wonderful, love the graphics and the color on it, recipe box. And it still has packages of blank recipe cards in it. So for $1, had to pick that up. Recipe cards boxes are always good. I sell them down, and this will go down to the pink elephant. In fact, all of this stuff, well, I don't think I'll list anything on eBay, but this will be $5 to $6 for one of these, especially in that wonderful colors. And overall, it's in good shape. I've seen them in a lot worse shape. This was a fabulous find too, and they said it was probably their grandmother's. So it was these two flower frogs, one in this metal base. It's very heavy, so it'd be great for flowers because they're not going to fall over. It's going to weigh them down well. So this is one that would sit in the bottom of a planter. But then there's this one, which at first glance looks ordinary, but it actually comes apart into two parts. It's got the little circle to join them together so they don't come apart if you want to use them in one, or you could break them apart and use them like side by side. I've never seen one like this. I thought it was really cool. And this was not priced. They said make an offer. I actually ended up paying $30 for everything you're going to see here. So that's the total that I paid. Some items, individual, may have been priced, and the books, because I picked up books. That's right, I picked up a bunch of great books. High dollar, couple high dollar items. But this was in the kitchen. Oops, I forgot the lid. Look at that. This is a Corningware casserole dish. I'll take it out. I'll take the lid off so I quit making noise. Ding, ding, ding. All right. And it's marked Corningware on the bottom, right there. But it's a beautiful dish with the lid. But sorry, I had to duck down there. But what got me excited was the stand. It's still on this original stand, very 1960s, if you ask me. And it has the little sterno or candle holder right in the middle. So you just light that, keep your stuff all warm. Now the legs are plastic, a black plastic. The handles are covered in a plastic. Just a beautiful chrome piece. So that they had marked for $3, so I grabbed that right away. And yes, I can't forget to do those. And then I started picking up, when I went to the garage, so that's what I picked up in the kitchen on the way to the garage. And then when I went to the garage, you know, a bunch of garage stuff. But on the one wall, they had a table full of books, and it said $2 a bag. They were all paperbacks. And I looked at them, they were all pretty modern paperbacks, nothing that too interested me. But next door, right next to the table, was a bookshelf. And that had some great old books. And they were so excited I was picking up these books that when I checked out, when I get to these others, I'll tell you the story. They started giving me the whole family history of everything. So here's some that I picked up. This is the Yale Shakespeare Othello, edited by Tucker Brook, Yale University Press. And I actually didn't even look any further. This one is new edition 1952. So I picked it up just because it's Othello and it's Shakespeare. I pick up major stories and authors, even if they're not first editions or worth a whole lot of money, just because people are looking for these partly for decoration and you know, and to add to an existing collection. You know, maybe they want all of Shakespeare's work, so they pick them up. And I sell them down at the Pink Elephant. Like, I'll look this one up, but it's probably going to be $5 to $10 that I would list that one on. This one is an introduction to Shakespeare. And again, this one is a little earlier. This is a 1910, published September 1910. So this is a first edition of this particular publishing by the Norwood Press. And so talks about all of his different things. So that's a good buy. I actually didn't look either one of those two up now that I think about it. This one, I just love the cover of this one. So I have different criteria when I pick up books. Some, like I just said, if they're major titles and major authors, first editions or early printings, I'll look for. But some of them, I buy them just for the covers or the artwork. This one, it's After Dinner Stories and How to Tell Them. You know, it's the old boys club smoking in the parlor, in the men's parlor, smoking their cigars and whatnot. So this does not have a published date on it. Oshkosh State Teachers College. So this is a Wisconsin publisher, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. This is the third printing, it says. And so it's just a book on after dinner stories, a whole bunch of different stories, which is fun. And I did try to look this up. I didn't find any, probably because it's a small publication. It does have a paper cover, and you can see, because it's a paper cover, it did get indented there. And it's discolored, which is okay. All right, we're getting into some of the good books coming up. Anna Karenina by Tolstoy, always a good pickup. This particular one is the Modern Library. It's not one of the higher end editions. But again, $10 to $15 for this particular edition, although eBay has them for more. I don't think it's worth that much. Same publisher, Random House, Nana, Emily Zola. Again, this is a $5 to $10 book. Not too much on that one. I picked up another Shakespeare. He must have liked his Shakespeare. Macbeth. This is an earlier edition of this particular book. This is 1909. Somebody really studied this book well because they have all these notes in there. And that was the other thing. I try to find books that, you know, are in used condition, but don't have a lot of writing or damage to them, depending upon the book, obviously. But this one has the name in the front, but that's about it. Notation on the back, December 18th to January 4th. This was probably used in a classroom setting, more than likely, and that's why those notes are in the front. Forwards, this is a German book. Thorpe College of Technology, Pasadena, California. A German reader for beginners. Test Monday, December 18th, 1915. So again, was a classroom textbook somebody was required to read. Okay, now let me show you this one, then I'll get into the next ones. What's O'Clock by Amy Lowell. Just a historic graphic novel. And sometimes you can tell earlier printings, like this particular one, and I can show you another one. They have a paper label. They're plain covers, and then they do a paper label on the spine and a paper label on the cover. Part of that is they could have ran out, like they did a first printing and it sold out, and they didn't have time to get new covers made, but they printed it, and so they just created labels to put on it to get it out quickly. There's various reasons why they might do that. This is a 1925 copyright. This is published in June of 1926. So this was published multiple times. In fact, it was reprinted in August of 25, September of 1925, October 1925, twice it says, November 1925, and then June of 1926. So they were having to make a lot of these copies very quickly. So each printing they did was of a smaller batch, not enough to meet the demand, so they kept having to go back and reprint. And so again, that's probably why these paper labels ended up getting put on there. But that's just something to look at, because similar story, Lady Chatterley's Lover. This is the only thing that identifies it on the outside, is this little paper spine label. And of course, this was the banned version. This is the first edition of this, 1930. This was not allowed to be distributed. It was banned until like the late 50s, from what I understand. So this is what they call a bootleg copy. So if you see those paper labels, you know, it's usually a sign of a book that was being quickly published, shall we say, for various reasons. Okay. One of the other things I look for when I'm looking at old books is the subject matter. Like in this case, it's birds, right? Bird books are always popular, at least for me. I've sold a good number of them. This is an older one. It's from 1898. It's Apgar's Birds of the United States. Interesting fact, this one is listed on eBay from $70 to $120 for this first edition. So, always a good thing to look for. This particular book was given as a gift in 1908, but it is a 1898 copyright first edition. So, that was a great find. Oops, sorry. Running out of room. And then, speaking of birds, I got the 2-volume set of Nuttall's Ornithology. So it's a 2-volume set of birds. There's one that's the land birds. The second is game and water birds. So you can see beautiful graphics on these. And it's very Art Nouveau, which tells me it's early 1900s. And these are actually 1897 publication date, I believe. First editions. And these, again, are, I think, I would say $50 to $100 value for the set of 2. These are actually in really good condition. So that was a good deal. And again, I spent $30 all total for everything. So let's keep that in mind. All right. Then this worked out really well. They have these 2 sets of books in this shoebox, and they fit perfectly. So there's 8 of these, which is masterpieces of the world's best literature. So it's a small book, and they told me that their grandfather used to pull these off the shelf and just look at them. Like he was fascinated and wanted to read them, but he would just look at them to see what was in there. This is a 1910 publication. Now, interior of these, they're on a very thin paper. So they're not in the best of condition. The outside looks really good, but the interior is deteriorating a little bit. And the others are the world's 100 best stories. And again, these are from the early 1927. So these are just a collection of best stories. So it was like $8 for this whole set of books because it was 50 cents each for hardcovers. All right. And I don't know the values on those, and I'm not too worried about it because they'll probably sell them as a set, you know, for $20, $25 for the set. I'll save that one for last. Textbook of Medicine. This particular book is from 1940, and both of these have the names of the people, Dr. Robert Earl, and the other is Dr. John Earl. Dr. John Earl was their grandfather. Robert Earl was their great-grandfather. Both of them were surgeons in the city of St. Paul, Minnesota, which of course is not very far from here, right? And they started apparently 2 different hospitals, is what the family told me. And they also had a street named after them in St. Paul. So this is a very prominent family, and I didn't know that when I went there. So, but the fact that they were both surgeons, and that's where the grandkids that were running the sale were thrilled that somebody was taking these textbooks, because they were afraid that, you know, they might just end up in the garbage because they didn't want to throw them away. So I was like, nope, I'll take them. And number one, they're just great books, even if you just want to display them, right? This particular one, Textbook of Medicine by Cecil, 1940 edition. This is a $30 to $50 book. It's actually in excellent condition. No loose pages. The spine and cover shows hardly any wear. And oh, there's a little water damage right on the very bottom of it. But you know what? You don't see that on the inside. Yeah. Pages are in excellent condition, so that's a great book. And then there is this one, which is Gray's Anatomy, 21st edition. That's what it has on here, 1924, I believe is what it was. 1924, I was right. The memory does work. This particular book sold listing on eBay for $120. And the one that sold was in terrible condition compared to this one. This one is actually in very good condition. The spine cover and back cover does show wear along the edges, which again, for a book like this, which would have been used on a regular basis, is to be expected. But all the pages are intact. There's no writing other than the name in the front. No loose pages. No water damage. Oh, there's some writing on the back. Thinner, yeah, some medical term that I can't read. But fabulous find. Gray's Anatomy. This is the first edition of this particular publishing, and it's exactly the same as the one that sold for $120, which was in worse condition, that was falling apart. This one is not falling apart. So $120, $150 value for that one book. So I think we did really well with our little $30 investment as a surprise moving sale, as they called it. They didn't call it a garage sale or estate sale. They called it a moving sale. But it was awesome. I had a great time. Very big surprise on a Saturday morning. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time.